It's time for state and local leaders to look at their impact and influence they can have on housing affordability within the state of Utah. Hunter Cox, Ryan Robinson, Sean Elliott, and myself, Trevor Cahoon, will look at new laws and leadership changes that are needed to create this change within our municipalities. We contend that the state of Utah and local governments should take a stronger role in providing affordable housing. This includes exploring rent control, affordable housing building requirements, and other solutions that we will detail in this presentation. In Utah law, rent and fee control are currently prohibited. Most see this law in place because of the prominence of the developers within the Utah legislature. Most laws protect landlords and not tenants. For example, without a lease, state law allows a landlord to increase rent with only 3 days' notice. Housing affordability in Utah is threatened due to the gap between the annual real rate of increase in housing prices of 3.32% and the annual rate of increase in household income of 0.36%. In 2017, it takes $47,000 of income to rent a typical 2-bedroom apartment unit in Salt Lake and Utah counties. In 2005, that number was $29,000. Since 2010, Utah's renters' rent costs have increased by 14%. Affordable housing ranks second to traffic congestion in Utah. Most new units cater to the high-end market. High land costs, rising interest rates, and impact fees exacerbate the problem. State and local leaders need to consider bold solutions to this housing disparity. Utah has 285,000 rental households. 2/3 of rental households are low income. Extremely low income households, those that make 30% less of the average median income, make up 20% of all renters. 56,000 Utahns spend more than 30% of their income on rent, considered a severe cost burden household. Households near or below the median income face the greatest threat by far from rising home prices and rental rates. These households include recently hired teachers, police officers, firefighters, and nurses. For those in these occupations, 2 income and 10 years of job experience are necessary for home ownership. There is a large shortfall of affordable rental housing in Utah. The current rental assist programs include 11,000 HUD Section 8 housing choice vouchers with an average 2-year waiting list, 25,000 tax credit rental units. Construction of these type of units has declined from 68% of all rental units in 1987 to 16% in 2016, and 5,000 assisted units through various HUD and rural development programs. At least 75,000 renter households have incomes below the median and do not qualify for rent assist programs, facing severe housing cost burdens. Is rent control the solution? Places like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Santa Monica, and New York City are known for government laws controlling the rental market. The data shows positive and negative impacts on the rental market and the neighborhoods in these cities because of these policies. We can draw upon the success and failures of these programs. A better approach would be for the state and local governments to have broader incentives for developers to include low-income units within their developments. Strengthen and create programs that pay the difference between a government-set rate and the market rent rate. Create better tenant laws protecting renters' rights for housing stability. Stanford Graduate School of Business professors Rebecca Diamond and Tim McQuaid find that rent control creates both winners and losers, even among renters themselves. They studied the progress of rent control in San Francisco since it commenced in 1994. They found that people that rented from the start of the law were well benefited. Their rent stayed low. Those that moved or came later didn't fare as well, and they actually paid 5% more than they would have without rent control. Between 1994 and 2010, the total stock of rental housing declined by 25%. One major loophole was the city didn't require rent control on new construction. Owners started tearing down the old to build new, usually higher-end housing, causing accelerated gentrification in the city. Many units were also converted into owner-owned condos aimed at those with more money. While hardline rent control policies where local or state government dictate rent controls will not work in Utah in their current form, the Stanford study concludes if there is a way to give tenants some protection against rate increases without having to make landlords pay for it, we might be able to have the benefits of rent control without creating the distortions that make things worse for others. This type of balance will work in Utah. A solution that doesn't solely onerous developers and landlords with higher costs is a good compromise. A city could protect renters by offering subsidies or tax credits to offset some of their rent increases. A target would be to get housing costs down by 30% of household income. This, coupled with the current safety nets of housing assistance to the extremely poor, could go a long way in solving our housing crisis. In 2014, Park City, Utah established specific housing policy in their general plan and embarked on strategies to develop affordable housing for their workforce. The City Council set a critical priority of building 800 new affordable housing units within 10 years to promote the creation of more affordable housing to maintain between 15% and 20% of the workforce living locally. They revised zoning codes to permit a wider variety of compatible housing types within Park City neighborhoods. Mixed-use development and smaller studio, micro units are now increasing in demand. Program goals include offering fee waivers for affordable housing developments, encouraging and educating larger employers on the benefits to develop and maintain housing for their employees, and identifying and acquiring property for future development of affordable housing. The program works when the city constructs or directly contributes to the development of affordable units. Long-term affordability is assured by deed restrictions. All sales or resales of these properties must be processed via the city. The city holds the right of first refusal when a deed-restricted property is sold, and the city maintains a list of these interested households. Park City has seen some great results. Snow Creek Cottages, which are 13 units built in 2010, are currently 100% owner-occupied. Prospector, Deer Valley, and Empire Pass areas are 42 units built between 2006 and 2013. Park Avenue Housing Project are 8 units built in 2017. A lottery was used to select the qualified buyers out of 92 applicants. This is a great start, but the demand still far outweighs the need that is found within the state. Other solutions that could be implemented by local and state policymakers are rent subsidies. State or local government could offer economic assistance to those that pay more than 30% of their income in housing costs. Developers could be offered tax credits to encourage the creation of affordable housing. Local government, through zoning laws, could allow for additional density or the reduction of development impact fees to construct low-income units. State law could be amended to encourage more municipalities to allow for these incentives. Leasing bonuses, security deposits, and utility assistance programs could encourage owners to rent to low-income households. Insurance programs for damages or lost rent can also help. Other solutions can include exploring new funding models such as public-private partnerships, RDA and EDA set-asides for affordable housing, adopting inclusionary zoning ordinances that provide a wide range of housing types and prices, including adopting accessory dwelling unit ordinances, providing legal services for low-income renters in eviction hearings, strengthening code enforcement requiring landlords to maintain buildings, examining the relationship between the affordability crisis and wage rates, and adopting policies and programs to encourage and allow low-income households to move to higher opportunity areas. In conclusion, Utah has a crisis in housing affordability. Housing and rental costs are at an all-time high. There's a considerable gap between wages and housing costs. Utah laws protecting property owners over tenants need to change. There is work to be done, but there is enough research to conclude that the state and local governments can create sustainable, affordable housing solutions. Incentives and assistance to builders, owners, and tenants can become part of the Utah housing landscape. Our leaders need to take notice and create solutions. We contend that it is the responsibility of state and local leaders to create a housing affordability climate within the state of Utah. Thank you.